on to the next session, a fireside chat on simplifying your compliance journey with Kasim. We have with us Mr. Nitin Kotwal, Head of Security, Mo Engage. With more than 14 years of expertise in a variety of cybersecurity fields, Nitin is a techno-management security leader, consultant, auditor, and trainer. He has a strong background in creating, implementing, and monitoring administrative and logical security controls to benefit business operations. This session is moderated by Pratyush Kukreja, Business Head, APAC Scrut Automation. Pratyush is leading the efforts in the South Asia region to grow Scrut and make more enterprises automate their risk postures and continuous compliance. He comes with over a decade experience in selling SaaS products to multiple markets and is keen to meet with leaders and ecosystem enablers from the region this evening. Before we start, I request everyone to put their phones on silent. Thank you so much. Over to you, Pratyush.
All right. Am I audible? All right, super. So thanks a lot, and it was a very intense discussion that preceded us, so very difficult to follow up to that. And just so that we put our game up, we'll do this fireside chat standing. We'll walk the talk on special request.
I'm slightly worried.
Okay. We'll make sure that we have enough extinguishers around here as well. Cool. So Nitin, as you know, we were discussing on the backstage. I'm fairly new to the space, and I was reading up some material. I came across some questions, so I'll probably just throw those at you. Those are fairly basic questions, and I would like to get your answers to those.
Cool.
So question number one would be, what would a cybersecurity engineer call a library?
Interesting.
Yes.
Cybersecurity engineer and library. Okay. Let's correlate. That's what I do. Data mapping, asset mapping and all, right?
Exactly.
Okay, libraries contain what? Books?
That's right.
Books contain what?
Knowledge.
Static material?
That's right.
InfoSec side, what is the critical thing which we try to protect?
Data.
Data. Now you can correlate, right? It's data at rest.
Oh yes, data at rest. Yes, that's very smart. In fact, I think I would have never gotten that. Similarly, another question I would want to ask you, which is that one of my friends, he's an InfoSec engineer, and he recently did a master's in psychology. So what is the right way to call him? What is he really doing in his professional life?
That's not my expertise.
Okay, I'll take a crack at it. So we were just joking around, and what we realized we should call him is an insecurity engineer.
Okay, next question.
All right, that was a very lame attempt at humor, but thanks a lot. And my apologies if this was really not landing well. Akshita will cancel my stand-up session for the evening after this. Cool, so we'll jump into the main hero content, which is Chasm, right? So if I just summarize the discussion so far, we spoke about asset getting complicated day by day. We understood that Chasm as an approach could help us mitigate and get better risk posture around that as an approach. So over the next couple of minutes, we'll talk about more tactical stuff. In the sense, समझ लिया क्या है. Now we would want to understand कि what do we do about it, right? करना क्या मतलब Scrut को call तो करना है, but what else should we also do? So and then what is the right way to think about it, right? So a couple of questions around that. And the question number one would be, if you had to really look at a tool that would help you, achieve a lot of the outcomes, like we spoke about, understanding the asset coverage and understanding and mapping all the, surfaces and so on, and getting a full visibility. What should you ideally look in a tool that you should want to invest into?
Okay, so if I have to look for one solution for all, right? Couple of things which I try to evaluate whenever I'm exploring any new tool or a product and all.
Right.
The first thing is how feasible it is to integrate. And that's exactly the beauty about Chasm is, right? If you talk with IT team, they might be using MDM or Active Directory They have their own list of their laptops and all those. You talk with the cloud security team, they talk about your instances, nodes, your databases and all, right? You go to network team, they talk about routers, firewalls and all those stuff, right?
Correct.
How effectively I can integrate at one place,
Right.
so that I can have more visibility around it, right? Now, when we talk about assets, it's not only about devices. People
Correct.
also come as an asset.
Oh,
That's an asset,
interesting.
right? So, how I can integrate with maybe my HRMS system
Correct.
to capture all the assets, how I can integrate with my multi-cloud environment, AWS, Azure, Google, whatever I'm using, to capture all the assets, right? What I can use to integrate with my IT solutions to capture all those assets.
Right.
And more effectively, as someone asked, right, dynamic assets, right? These things are dynamic, right? In cloud environment, instances come, go. It's all auto-scalable, right?
Correct.
How effectively a tool can automate those things for discovery purpose or for exploration purpose and all these
Correct.
things.
Correct.
So that's another part which I try to see. The other part is customization,
Right.
right? The level of customization a tool can provide to me. So it's not only about what its a use cases, because every organization based on their business, they optimize the things.
Correct.
Right? Please correct me if I'm wrong here, right? Someone is working on a fintech, or someone is working on, let's say, telecom. The processes followed are slightly different from each other. The way of optimizing things are slightly different from each other.
Correct.
If I talk from InfoSec point of view, the way I do a risk management might be different from someone else who is doing a risk management.
Correct. Correct.
Right? My process of following a scorecard might be different on those lines.
Correct.
How a tool can easily be customized. I'm just giving an example on that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
How a tool can be easily customized on those lines.
Correct.
That's another thing which I would like to explore on those lines, right? Yeah, I guess that's high level. That's what I will try to explore.
Correct.
One more thing, right? I will give you one example, right, which I remember.
Yes, please.
There was a small incident happen,
Okay.
right? I make it a hypothetical, right? I don't want to
Sure.
give the real time things.
Sure. No resemblance to real incidents or people.
Okay. So there was an incident happened, right? As I guess someone also explained, some geek get explode, or let's say some incident happened, my asset get compromised due to any reason, right? Now, with the help of Chasm, if I'm having everything as a centralized view of visibility, I can see what is the impact of that particular incident.
Correct.
It's not only for that particular asset which is impacted, maybe something which is connected with it, right?
Correct.
Or it is transferring a data along with it.
Correct.
If I'm having a visibility of those, I can easily ensure that impact is not high, or I can define my containment steps
Correct.
based on that,
Correct.
right? So one of the common things which we do in
Right,
incident
right.
management also.
Correct.
So that's another thing which I would like to see in the tool, right?
Perfect.
How I can customize how much visibility it is doing,
Correct.
how I can integrate with multiple solutions on those lines.
Right. Right. No, that's very powerful, and it almost seemed like a fairly mighty tool. Something that would be able to do all of that. So let's move on from there to the people aspect of it, right? So tool is just a step to an end goal. And what would you really expect from the partner or the vendor who would provide you the tool? That okay, tool to the but how do you use that tool to actually get to your end state and be continuously compliant and contain the risk as and when they happen?
Okay, so good question. Having everything now, one of the biggest problems which CISO have, right? There are tons of tools,
Correct.
right? We have to handle org as a whole, people, assets, network, cloud, IT, blah blah stuff, right?
Correct.
Mars, Jupiter, and whatever, right? On
Right.
those
Correct.
things.
Correct.
So the problem is for everything there are specialized tools. Completely agree, right?
Correct.
And definitely it's a task of a specialized tools to handle the stuff, right?
Right.
Like if you're using a cloud environment, now the generation is following the next gen firewall, right?
Right.
Where it can do both signature and behavior analysis on those
Correct.
lines.
Correct.
So That's one aspect of it, right? But if I am having, typically, 10, 15 tools to handle,
Right.
and if I'm not having a centralized view
Correct.
of it,
Correct.
it becomes a difficult task for me.
Right.
And that's exactly what a compliance talk about, right? If I look into the compliance, what exactly, if I take a step back, right? Compliance are nothing, it is just assurance that you are following certain structure, practices, and how good your security posture is
Correct.
against a standard set of controls and frameworks, right?
Correct.
It doesn't matter whether, if they say talk about asset management, let's say talk about ISO 27001
Right.
or SOC 2 and all. If we talk about asset management, they contain everything on those lines. Now, one of the things which happened, right, during one of the audit, right, auditor says, okay, you have a dynamic lot of auto-scalable groups. We're doing for CSA star level 2 audit on those level. He told, okay, you have a lot of dynamic resources, instances, auto-scalable groups, or spot instances, we call it as. They come and go. How you ensure security around it? I guess that was also your query on those fronts.
Correct.
So we tell them, okay, all those deployment happen via standard golden images, pipeline, blah, blah stuff. We ensure CIS benchmark, we run a scan, all those stuff. Okay. Good thing, right? Give me artifact.
Right.
Prove me.
Correct.
Right? So we showcase him the pipelines and all of those things. Then he asked, do you have an artifact for it? Can I have a report of one of your spot instance where it has scanned the things, or you have done a vulnerability assessment and all those stuff? That's exactly where the catch comes into the picture, right? Compliances not only talk about your static things, it also talks about your dynamic things.
Correct.
You go to people management, they say, okay, how many employees have done the security training, or how many you have done the background verifications and all those stuff. Compliance talks about whether you have captured the artifacts and all. Right. And if I'm having a centralized view of those things, it becomes much more easier for me to showcase during compliance time.
Correct.
Right, that, hey, that's a centralized place, look into it. You can get all the relevant records on those front. And using Chasm, I can automate capturing those records from multiple tools at one place.
Right.
Right. So that's a good thing, which I always like about it, right? Along with other things.
Got it. But no, that was great having this conversation and getting your insights on more tactical and actionable items. Thanks a lot for being a sport, and that's it for the Fireside Chat.